Big Z, Big Z. You know what's one of the best parts of covering a series like this, Edmonton and Vancouver? It's that we can make the post-game video, we can have our conversations about what happened in the game, but even that video by itself doesn't feel like enough. We still have so much more to talk about when it comes to this series in particular. So what I wanted to do was go over some of the extra notes from last night, as well as go over Nikita Zadorov's roast, because yeah, he kind of did this. It was funny. Here's the tweet made by Dan Murphy from earlier this morning. Take a look at this. Nikita Zadorov said this about playing in Edmonton. They have good fans, diehard fans. There's pretty much nothing else to do in that city except watch hockey. And okay, ooh, Nikita, I'm not gonna go out there and disagree, you know, but those are fighting words right there, my friend. Fighting words. And Dan Murphy then responds to the 100,000 people that viewed this tweet and the 1.5K that liked it with full quote, "It's fun. There are good fans, diehard fans. I mean, there's pretty much nothing else to do in that city except watch hockey. It's been fun. I've only had good experiences over there, for sure." And then the first reply says, "Oh yeah, no, come on, Murph, you know what you're doing here." So Dan Murphy kind of stirring the pot a little bit, but you know what? I'm not going to go out there and necessarily disagree. What's there to do in Edmonton? There's the mall, there's hockey, there's the Eskimos, and what? There's a lot of oil? Okay, I'm not going to go out there and start taking shots at the city. I mean, your real estate's cheap compared to here, and you have to rely on a bunch of heaters all year round, which is not the worst thing in the world, to be honest. It's just, for Nikita Zadorov to go out there and say that, yeah, you can understand why this guy is seen as somewhat of a jokester and one of the funnier guys on the team. Speaking about Nikita Zadorov, yesterday he did score the go-ahead goal in the second period. It was the laser of a shot over the shoulder of Stuart Skinner, and I didn't realize this at first because, of course, I'm watching the Canadian Sportsnet broadcast, but on the TNT broadcast over in the States, you actually had yourselves Henrik Lundqvist, the king himself, go out there and pretty much talk about why this play for Stuart Skinner was a really bad one. He calls this the reverse VH pandemic, and he uses two examples from Nikita Zadorov goals in particular to make his point. How Stuart Skinner went down and allowed that shot in Game 2, and Hank also uses the UC Saros clip from the series in Nashville where Nikita Zadorov scored exactly the same goal in, I think it was Game 5. Yeah, that's what it was. So I'm honestly not smart enough to understand what Hank is meaning when he talks about the reverse VH, but essentially he talks about how goalies are going down too quickly and how it's kind of an unnecessary motion for these tenders to make, and as a result, it opens up that top side. You're going down too quickly, you're opening up holes, and Nikita Zadorov has done a good part in exposing those twice in the playoffs. It's kind of nuts that he has 4 goals in the postseason so far, and 3 of those goals came in games where the Canucks ended up losing. So, yeah, they lost in Game 5 to Nashville, they lost in Game 2 to Nashville, they won Game 1 against Edmonton, but then they lost Game 2 against Edmonton. Nikita Zadorov is all over the place, and if you're trying to bet futures, you want to say, oh, Canucks win and Nikita Zadorov gets a goal, yeah, no, it's not consistent at all, man. The Canucks lose more when they have Nikita Zadorov goals, oddly enough. And speaking about Nikita Zadorov, there was a really interesting conversation I saw pop up on the Edmonton Oilers subreddit earlier this morning, too. Funnily enough, it is the Oilers guys that are tweeting about Rick Tocchet quotes. Take a look at this. Rick Tocchet this morning on embellishment. You've got to stamp it out. When I played, there's certain guys who would embellish. Old-style refs would say, I'm not going to call a penalty for that guy again. That'll stop it. It cheapens the game when you embellish. And the reason they posted this quote on the Oilers sub is because they linked a video in the same post of Nikita Zadorov going down pretty easily from a seemingly innocuous Warren Fogle check. And this was one of these instances where Nikita Zadorov was kind of embellishing, so the Oilers folks are saying, hey, I wonder if Rick Tocchet changed his opinion because Nikita Zadorov went out there and did exactly that. Top comment goes out there and says, though, I saw Tocchet call over Zadorov after that and rip him for the dive. I gotta say, I actually respect Tocchet a lot. Zadorov definitely costed his team a power play by flopping like that. It was bad enough alone to be a penalty. If he just took it, we're on the penalty kill. And while I don't want to read too much into the woulda, coulda, shouldas, it is somewhat intriguing to note how the Vancouver Canucks could have had quite a few more power plays, and the Oilers could have had some too. Like, not gonna lie, when you look at some of the game tape here, Vancouver had a too many men call that was kind of missed. There were a few cross-checks that you could say could have been called, but for Edmonton, the opposite way, yeah, same thing here. Connor McDavid literally high-sticked Quinn Hughes and caused the guy to bleed. 4-minute double minor? Nope, just kidding. It is 0. Nothing. Zilch. Nada. No repercussions whatsoever. Even Ian McIntyre went out there and tweeted this during the game. Okay, guys, I hope this is my last post about officiating, but it always amazes me the 4 guys will huddle for 2 minutes to talk about a puck over glass, but nobody sees Quinn Hughes get hacked in the head by McDavid. And that, of course, is one of the things that I think angered Canucks fans the most, because not only should McDavid have been in the box, but it should have been for 4 minutes. The Canucks could have had a great opportunity there. They finally got their power play clicking in this game with the opening goal from Elias Pettersson, so what more could they have used had that McDavid call just gone the way it should have? I don't want to sour grape too much about the refereeing because the Canucks did play very poorly in the third and they certainly were not the better team in this game, but at the end of the day, you know, calls got to be made, and that's one of those situations where you start paying attention. Okay, if the Canucks get a makeup call, then maybe it's all right, but then Nikita Zadorov goes down easy, and there may be some sort of an, okay, no, you just tossed your makeup call out of the window there, Vancouver. Big Z, you can't go out there and do that. So, heading into Game 3, it'll be very interesting to take a look at what the calls on the ice end up looking like, especially since we'd already talked about this earlier on in the week as well, but the NHL did speak in particular to Vancouver and Edmonton about embellishment. We made the entire video about that. The NHL sends a warning to the Canucks and the Oilers, and that was a very interesting thing that was brought up. So now it's like, yeah, this is why. This is exactly why they are getting talked to about this particular thing. If we start seeing it more and more, a la Kevin Fiala in the LA series, for example, then the NHL has to start enforcing their rules a little bit harder. Hey, we're not going to call this. Sorry, you guys are diving a little bit too much. We're going to put our whistles away. And if it gets a little bit too egregious, then who knows what might happen at that point. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about all the stuff that we had talked about here in this video, from Nikita Zadorov to Rick Tocchet's comments to Stuart Skinner and everything else. It's kind of funny how most of these topics revolve around Nikita Zadorov. Like, he was the one who called out Edmonton for not having anything else to do other than watch hockey. He scored the goal that Henrik Lundqvist didn't like about Stuart Skinner. He was the guy who kind of embellished. He opened up the conversation in regards to refereeing, and now we're walking into Game 3 with a tie series 1-1, and the Oilers looking like the much better team, wrapping up that game too. So we'll see what exactly happens with the Canucks and Oilers series by the time Game 3 begins. It's tomorrow. It's a little bit earlier because, of course, it is in Edmonton, but we will see how exactly the tides turn at that point. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about all the stuff we had talked about in this video: Nikita Zadorov, the goaltending, the officiating, Rick Tocchet, and everything else in between. Let's get some early predictions going on for Game 3 as well. Does Nikita Zadorov score another goal, and do the Vancouver Canucks lose in the process of that happening? Thoughts in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.